contendings of the apostles, being the histories of the lives and martyrdoms and deaths of the 12 apostles and evangelists. The Ethiopic texts now first edited from manuscripts in the British Museum, with an English translation. Many people do not know that Christ's 12 apostles also had disciples, students to help spread the Gospels. The apostle Matthew taught the black Jews in Ethiopia where he was murdered. The apostles' disciples had copies of the original Gospels in Ethiopia and the genealogies of the 12 apostles. All 12 of Christ's apostles were of different tribes. That's why Christ told his disciples they would all sit on the throne judging Israel. Let's now see what Christ said to his 12 disciples about judging Israel. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 19 and verse 28. Matthew 19:28. So Jesus said to them, Assuredly I say to you, that in the regeneration, when the Son of Man sits on the throne of his glory, you who have followed me will also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. You see that Christ said his 12 apostles will all sit on 12 thrones judging Israel. That's why Christ divinely chose 12 disciples being from each tribe. Christ knew exactly what he was doing when choosing his disciples. Now let's get the tribes of the 12 apostles, according to the disciples of the apostles in Ethiopia. And they wrote on pages 49 and 50. The father of Simon, surnamed Peter, and of Andrew his brother, was of the house of Reuben. See that. Peter and Andrew was of the tribe of Reuben. It continues. And his mother's mother was of the house of Simeon. Simon Peter's mother loved him greatly, and she named him Simon after the name of her father's family, Simeon, and because Andrew's father loved him greatly he counted him among his family, of his father Reuben. Zebedee was of the house of Levi, and he took to wife woman of the house of Judah. She bore to him 2 sons, called James and John. Now because the father of James loved him greatly he counted him among his family of his father Levi, and similarly. Because the mother of John loved him greatly she counted him among the family of her father Judah. And for this reason she brought him forth to Jesus, for she herself was of the house of Judah. And Christ also was of the house of Judah, according to the flesh. See that James' father counted him a Levite after his tribe, and his mother counted John of the house of Judah after her tribe. And they were surnamed children of thunder. See that James and John were called children of thunder. Very interesting. It says, for they were of both the priestly house and the royal house. Meaning Levi and Judah. Let's continue. It says, Philip was of the house of Zebulun. And Bartholomew was of the house of Naphtali. Now his name was formerly John, but our Lord, meaning Christ, changed his name because of John the son of Zebedee, his beloved. You see that. It says that Bartholomew and John had the same name, so Christ changed his name from John to Bartholomew. I bet you did not know that. This is why it's important to go outside the Bible. Let's continue. And Matthew was of the house of Issachar. See that. Matthew that Christ sent to Ethiopia to preach the Gospels was of the tribe of Issachar. Now you cannot possibly believe that Matthew was a Mexican man, traveling down to Ethiopia to teach his fellow black brethren, Jews. Let's continue. It says, and Thomas was of the house of Asher. And James the son of Alphaeus was of the house of Gad. And Thaddeus was of the house of Joseph. And Simon, the son of Cleopas, also as the same as Nathanael, was of the house of Benjamin. And Judas Iscariot was of the house of Dan. Many people don't know that Dan also played a big part as well as Judah in selling their brother Joseph. It says, now Dan sold his brother Joseph for 20 pieces of silver, and in like manner Judas sold our Lord for 30 pieces of silver. And Judas was replaced by Matthias. His name in Hebrew is Mattiyahu. He was more likely of the tribe of Dan, because Christ said all 12 disciples will judge all the tribes. Plus in the book of Ezekiel, the tribe of Dan is in fact stated by God first to have land in the new heavenly kingdom, and a gate. Because God never put away his people Israel. As it's written, Dan was not the only tribe that went into idolatry. They all did. But now, if you never knew before, you now know the tribes of all Christ apostles.
in dark.